The story I'm going to share with you tonight is very different than any talk I ever give. It's a very personal story. But what I gained from it, and how much it changed me, I want to share that with you, and hopefully you can bring it into your life as well. Because 2.5 years ago, I had the privilege, as you saw on the poster, of donating my kidney to a woman I had never met before. And it was the greatest experience of my life. And I'll explain why. So the whole story started about 6 years ago. I was actually at the time living in Denver, Colorado, working with Asia Torah, and now we live near Washington, D.C. area. So at that time, my husband was learning with a gentleman, he's not from, his name was Alan. And one day, and we became close with Alan and his wife, we did a couples mission to Eretz Yisrael, and we became close with them. And one day he said to me, "Do you notice that Alan wears a beaver?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, he does." He said, "You want to know why?" Anyway, he's not a doctor. I said, "Why?" He said, "Because he's waiting for a kidney." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I never knew anyone who, in a situation like that, they're waiting for an organ. So that night, I went on to Rabbi Google, and I Googled kidney transplant, kidney donation, and I just really wanted to know what Alan was going through. And I discovered a lot of things on these sites. Can I tell you before I started this, I didn't even know what my kidneys were. I know they're in there somewhere, okay? They're in your body. You have 2 4-ounce kidneys, and I had a vague idea of what they did, not really. They're filters. They're filtering all the toxins out of your body. And if they're not working, those toxins are staying in your body. So on these sites, first of all, some of them are heartbreaking, because there are people on some sites, there are some sites where they are really, there's like ads for people saying, "Please save my mother, save my brother, save my son, save my daughter, save me." People donate a kidney. And there's also on these sites the sort of the requirements and the structure of what a person could, what are the qualities a person needs, the qualifications to donate a kidney. And I was going through the list, and I was like, check, 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 check. I realized that, based on what I was reading, that I'm a very good candidate to donate a kidney. Why? In the kidney world, which I started walking into, it's very blood driven. It really has to very much based on your blood type. So, is anybody here an O? I'm an O. Anybody an O? Okay, anybody here who's an O is a universal donor. You can give to any blood type, but you can only receive from an O. Is anybody here an AB? AB types? Okay. So ABs are universal receivers. You can receive from any blood type, but you can only give to an AB. Got it? So I'm an O. Does anybody here not know their blood type? It's shocking how many people don't, okay? Go get blood. You should be embarrassed. Okay. So I'm an O. So I'm a universal donor. I was like, wow. And also, Baruch Hashem, I'm healthy, and there's no kidney disease in our family, there's no diabetes. All these things can eliminate you from being a donor, or if you ever had any life-threatening disease, and there's many things. And based on what I was reading, I thought I was a very good candidate. And I went to Alan, and I said, I would like to offer you my kidney. And he was obviously very touched. We actually went to his surgical team, and they looked at me, and the doctor said, "No, absolutely no. Wouldn't even test me." Why? Because Alan was a big man, and I'm not a big woman, and they felt that my kidney would not sustain his body. And unless there's 1,000% chance that this is going to be very successful, they don't even attempt it. So based on that, and we appealed, and it's like, no, that was it. So that was it. Done. Shelved it. About 6 months later, we moved to the Washington, D.C. area, where my husband is now the executive director of Asia Torah there. About 3 or 4 months in, I get this random email. And the subject of the email was, a 4-year-old Jewish boy needs a kidney. So I click on. And I replied to them, and I said, actually, I think I'm a very good candidate to donate my kidney. And a couple of days later, they wrote back, and they said, actually, he's too sick to have the surgery, but would you be willing to be tested for someone else? And that was my first moral dilemma. Man we know and love, take my kidney. 4-year-old Jewish boy, take my kidney. for somebody I don't know? And then I thought, somebody knows them. This is somebody's mother, somebody's sister, somebody's friend, somebody's daughter. And I wrote back and I said, yes, I'd be willing to be tested. And I didn't tell my husband. I told him later, okay, don't worry. Why did I tell my husband? Because what am I going to worry him for? Maybe this will go nowhere. Like, why bring up a subject that's just going to cause problems, all right? So they faxed me from the kidney transplant clinic at Montefiore Hospital, which is in the Bronx here. And they faxed me the forms, and I had to fill out a lot of history, mostly like medical history. And I faxed them back. And a couple of weeks later, they contacted me, and they said, based on your application, we are now officially accepting you as a possible kidney donor. And now you have to have a lot of medical tests. And a lot of these tests, some of the tests could be done locally where I live, but most of them had to be done at the kidney transplant clinic in the Bronx because they only trusted their team. Now I had to tell my husband. So I waited one night when he was in a good mood, and I went, Yaakov, can we talk about something like completely different? And he said, sure. And I said, I told him what I was thinking about doing. And I want you to appreciate how great my husband is. My husband said, I saw the forms on your desk. I was waiting for you to talk to me about it. Now, I wouldn't have been so nice, okay? I would see the forms, what are you doing, okay? Like, I would wait, like, no. My husband's a very great man. So I told him what I was planning to do, and he did not jump up and down and go, yay, yay, yay. Not at all. He was like, well, hold on. We have to ask for Chaya. We have to, I want to talk to a doctor. What about this? What about that? He had all these questions. And I said, of course, you should ask for Chaya. You should talk to a doctor, right? Get your questions out. And in the meantime, I started doing the tests. Because he didn't say no. He didn't say yes. But if you don't hear no from your husband, you just keep going until you hear no, right? Okay. So I started the test. So what do the tests entail? The first tests were just they draw a lot of blood and they cross-match the blood to these, there were 3 women that they were testing me for. So a lot of people ask me, the first question people ask me is like, how did I know I was dealing with Jewish people? So the person who sent me the original email, her email address is kidneymitzvah@aol.com. Okay? And she happens to be in the audience today. So she said, so I knew kidneymitzvah@aol.com, I'm dealing with Jewish people, and then quickly I realized I'm dealing with frum people. So there were 3 frum women that I was being tested for, and they cross-matched it, and based on the cross-match, they said that I actually matched 2 of them, based on my blood type and all the antigens and all the things that they have to deal with. I matched 2 of them. So actually, at that point, I wasn't sure if I was dealing with frum people, but I said, like, can you tell me, like, something about them? Like, you don't really know very much information as you go along. They said, okay, well, one lives in Brooklyn and has 10 children. One lives in Muncie with 7 children. Okay, do the math, okay? So now I knew I was dealing with frum people. So